We spoke to Paralympian Kurt Fearnley earlier in the week, who had lunch with Her Majesty the Queen at the weekend, and it became known to us that there has been another Novocastrian who has been mixing with royalty. Madeline Sobb from Adamstown was also hanging with the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh in Melbourne, and in fact spawned a fascinating online conversation, namely in light of the Prime Minister and whether or not she should have curtsied to the Queen. What do you do if you are a woman in a chair who meets the Queen? What is the protocol? Madeline Sobb, good morning.
Going?
Very well, thank you. Congratulations, first of all. You spent time with the Duke in the end, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And how did that come about?
Well, since moving to Melbourne in February this year, I'm working for the Youth Disability Advocacy Service in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager and I were invited to a reception at Government House yesterday for the Queen and the Duke.
Now, controversially or otherwise, courtesy dictates that one should curtsy when one meets the Queen. That's not possible if you're in a wheelchair. And is it true that there wasn't necessarily an established protocol already in existence? Because I know it caused a huge amount of debate.
Yes, that's right. Yes, Stella Young, the Ramp Up editor, wrote an article about that just this week, and there's been lots of conversation on Twitter about it, and quite a few different suggestions from lots of different wheelchair users saying, you know, you could do a wheelchair dance or anything like that.
And of course, it's not a big deal for a male because Kurt could have just bowed, which is the correct protocol as I understand.
That's correct, yes.
What did you do in the final analysis?
I shook hands with the Duke.
That seems entirely appropriate. Was he happy with that?
He was happy with that, yes.
And you were happy with that?
Yes, yes.
Was it a good experience?
It was. He actually said to me, because I use an electric wheelchair, so he said to me, are you safe to drive that thing, and do you have a licence for it?
And what was your answer?
My answer, yes, I'm quite safe, and no, I don't have a licence.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad that it was pointed out to us that you too had a brush with royalty this week, and especially interesting to see how you may indeed have redefined the very protocol. Lovely to have met you, and congratulations. That is Madeline Sobb, originally from Adamstown, now living in Melbourne, and mixing with royalty this week, and apparently creating the new protocol of the handshake if you're a woman in a wheelchair meeting royalty.